This dumpster fire happened yesterday when I, 25M, and my girlfriend, 25F, who we'll call Lizzie, went to hang out with my friend, 26M, who we'll call Jack, at his flat. Jack's gay, and I've known him since first year of uni, so about 7 years. I've been with Lizzie for 9 months, so we were just sitting around drinking wine and started talking about flings we'd had when we were at uni. Lizzie asked Jack if he'd ever had a crush on me. Jack smiled and joked, well, who wouldn't? But she kept kind of pushing the issue, but in a pretty light-hearted way. I thought it was making Jack a little uncomfortable, but he ended up saying that he had had a crush when we first met, which I never knew. He said he'd heard I was bi before he really knew me, so thought there was a chance, but then we got to know each other. He learned I was straight and was happy he'd landed such a great friend instead. I just made some comment that it was a shame I was straight because we'd have been a cute couple. He laughed and said we would, but he thought me and Lizzie made a cuter one, and the conversation moved on. Lizzie didn't seem put out by it all. She just said something about it being sweet. When we left and got back to our own flat, though, she sat me down and said she didn't want me to be friends with Jack anymore. She said she wasn't comfortable with me being friends with someone who was interested in me, and that she thought that was a reasonable boundary to have. I was kind of stunned and said that just because he had a crush when we were 18 doesn't mean he's interested in me now, and that he'd never made any sort of move on me at all. He's a really close friend, and I wasn't going to drop him when he hadn't done anything wrong. She got pretty mad and said it seemed a basic ask in a relationship to put your girlfriend first over friends who had crushes on you. The conversation just sort of went round in circles from there, going back and forth between her talking about her boundaries and me saying that she wasn't making sense until she suggested a compromise where I was never alone with Jack but could still be friends. I was pissed at this point and told her absolutely not. We didn't need a chaperone, so she went to bed saying she was hurt I was choosing Jack over her. She headed off to work this morning before I woke up, which is normal, and we haven't spoken. Lizzie has never done anything like this before, and she's never seemed the jealous type, so that's got me thinking maybe I'm the unreasonable one. I should say I have a pretty bad history with being given ultimatums, as I was in a very toxic relationship with a girl who would give them to me often, along with a lot of other issues. Lizzie knows about this, and Jack was actually really important in helping me get out of and over that relationship. My experience with that is part of why I don't know if I can trust my own judgment on this, though, as I'm kind of predisposed to mistrust anyone telling me I have to cut people off for them. So that's where I'm at. I'm trying to figure out if I'd be wrong to refuse her compromise. I know I probably could have communicated better, but I feel really blindsided by this, and I can't imagine hurting Jack by saying we can't hang out anymore. But I love Lizzie, and I don't want to hurt her either. Our relationship has been great so far, and this is the first serious issue we've encountered. So, Aita for refusing to budge on this? Now, for a few comments before the update. NTA, everyone here is an adult, so you should all be able to make adult decisions. You've known Jack around 8 times longer than her, and nothing has happened because you aren't interested in him, and he either is no longer interested in you or is just respecting your boundaries like a normal adult. You and GF wouldn't even know Jack had liked you if she hadn't asked. Really, all that needs to be done here is don't cheat. That's simple, which should be easy since you're straight LOL. Shoe on the other foot. Say your GF knew a dude for way longer than you, and you both found out at one point he liked her but no longer. If you flipped out and said she couldn't be friends with this guy anymore, that would be fucking weird, right? And a chaperone. What are we, 12-year-olds at a zoo? Comment 2. As a woman, I will say in this case, bros before hoes. Your friend has been around you longer than her, and he seems like a genuinely good person. Your girlfriend is letting her insecurities get the best over her, and that's not okay. I'd have a serious conversation with her. I can understand a bit of jealousy. However, Jack is a very good friend to me, and you demanding that I isolate myself from him or not be alone with him is controlling. I am not choosing him over you. You are my girlfriend, and he is my best friend. There is no competition. If you cannot come to terms with this, then this won't work out. Comment 3. NTA. To me, it kind of seems like she deliberately went looking for that info in an attempt to separate you from your best friend. Like, you might still be in a toxic relationship. I don't think you should compromise on this point, Making demands about who you can be friends with is controlling and toxic for sure. Now, for the update. And if you're enjoying the video, hit that like button. Sorry it's been a while since I posted. It's been kind of a hectic and stressful week. I hadn't even really thought of updating, but someone commented asking, so here I am, haha. Also, sorry I didn't respond to any of the comments on the last post. When I went back to look at it, I was kind of overwhelmed by how many there were and didn't really know where to start. I did my best to read them all though. I promise. Also, just to clarify a couple of things people were asking about. Me and Lizzie didn't live together. I just said our flat cuz we split our time pretty evenly between hers and mine. Sorry, that was confusing. Also, a bunch of people thought she might have been homophobic, but I don't think that was the issue. She's very left-wing generally, has a bunch of gay people in her life, including her brother. It didn't come up when we were discussing it either. So, the actual update is that we ended up breaking up. To be honest, I don't think cutting off Jack was ever an option I was seriously considering. I just felt so blindsided and stressed out by her demanding it that I felt really confused over how reasonable she or I was being, so thank you all for validating my initial instincts there. After all he has done for me, I definitely owed him a lot more loyalty than I'd have shown just ditching him, and I also just really didn't want to. I like having him in my life as a friend. He's great. I definitely didn't communicate very well during our first discussion about it though, so I asked if me and Lizzie could properly talk about it on Monday night. But it ended up just being the same thing, going around in circles. I tried asking what had set this off, if there was anything specific that could have set off some insecurities. I asked if Jack had done anything, if maybe our jokes had come across as insensitive, because I'd seen some comments here speculating on that. But she was just immovable, like nothing I was saying or asking even mattered. She just kept returning to Jack having a crush, and me disrespecting her boundaries and our relationship. It was honestly kind of upsetting. We talked about it on and off every day up until Thursday evening when I just couldn't deal with it anymore. It's kind of pathetic, but it was really setting off memories of my last relationship. Maybe if I hadn't had that in my head, I could have been calmer or a better communicator or something, but it felt almost triggering. I was getting really anxious every day. So on Thursday, I just said my friendships are non-negotiable. I can discuss why you're upset. I'm happy to handle any actual problems they're causing, but I'm not cutting anybody off for no real reason. Then she started crying and she left, and we ended it by text after that. And weirdly, I'm not as sad as I would have thought I would be. I think it had been making me so anxious and stressed out that it was more a relief than anything. I was wrecked after my last one though, so I don't know what's happening there. I had my roommate take her stuff over yesterday and get mine back, and yeah, I was just happy it was over in the end. I was really worried about telling Jack though. I didn't want him to blame himself or anything dumb like that, or feel like he'd forced some kind of choice, or done something wrong by telling me how he felt 7 years ago, for God's sake. So I asked him yesterday if he wanted to go bouldering today so I could tell him face to face. And I tried to frame it less like it was about him and more like she had just started issuing ultimatums and I couldn't deal with that again. And he was great. He was worried about me but told him I was actually feeling okay about the whole thing. We went for drinks after, and I'm just back from that. So I'm doing fine and I'm happy with how it turned out. Thank you all so much for helping me when I was very confused and stressed. Hopefully, I'll have better luck dating in the future. Comment 1. I'm sorry that you never got to find out what the heck triggered her weird behavior, but honestly, it sounds like this was the best outcome for you. Really good friends are something very special, not to be thrown away at the whim of a partner who won't even explain what their issue is. Then the original poster responded with, "Thanks, yeah, I'm at peace with it. It was so weirdly out of character for her, which does bother me, but ultimately it was just too much for me to cope with right now." Comment 2. You made the right choice. Ultimatums have no place in healthy relationships. Okay, let me back up. I could understand if he had hit on you in front of her or made some comment to her when you weren't around, but it doesn't sound like that happened. If it had, she should have communicated that to you. Her insecurities are on her, not you here. Comment 3. A lot of romantic partners have this expectation that they should trump all other relationships in their partner's life. Like somehow, they instantly become most important simply because it is a romantic, sexual relationship. It seems much more common when we're younger that once a friend starts dating someone, they no longer have the time for just friends, and you just don't see them anymore. Everything is solely reserved for their partner. This is stupid. Relationships aren't tired, and the expectation that one single person romantic partner is the only person we really need is dangerous. In my experience, people seem to grow out of this as we get older and more mature. So good on you for standing up for yourself. Good friends are just as important and deserve the same care and respect to the relationship as romantic partners. Now, for the next story. Aida for telling my mom that her boyfriend is a red flag. I, 16F, went to a restaurant with my mom, 42, and her BF, 45, who I'll call B. My parents got divorced years ago. I don't like B a lot. Here are some reasons why. 1. He's never on time for anything planned. 2. He never spends time with my mom and gets upset at her for it. 3. He's always acting cold and distant towards my mom. 4. Whenever my mom is upset, he never comforts her. He just tells her she has no right to be upset. 5. He's always trying to burst my bubble and make me do things I hate. 6. He rarely pays for outings. 7. He's always drinking beer and is never really sober. Those are most of the reasons I dislike him. So while we were at the restaurant, B went to the bathroom. My mom knows I don't like him and asked me why, so I tell her he's a red flag. I also stated the reasons above. She didn't like my answer and replied saying, "He's putting more effort into the relationship than our other ex, and your dad." I knew this was a lie because B never did anything more than say he wants her in his future. But then he started to spend money renovating his home when he practically lives at my mom's house. To me, that's not planning his future with her. But I'm not sure if I'm right, Aida. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, NTA. Just because a relationship isn't as bad as previous ones, it doesn't mean it's a good relationship. Dude sounds as emotional as a paperweight, but less useful. Comment 2, NTA. But I may be a little biased. I lived through something similar. My mom and dad got divorced when I was 9. About a year after that, my mom started seeing another guy who was also full of red flags, but he was different from my dad, which is what she was looking for. They got married about a year after they started dating. I told her how I felt about him from the moment they started dating throughout my teen years, even as his temper got noticeably worse. When I was 18, 19, she found out he had cheated on her multiple times. He threw a massive fit, put a dent in the washing machine, and punched a hole in one of the walls. Once they got a divorce, my mom and I got to talking. I told her how afraid of him I'd been because of his anger and outbursts. She asked why I hadn't said anything, and I pointed out that I had said something numerous times. The point is, while you shouldn't hold back when you see something wrong, don't be surprised when your mother doesn't want to see what you see. Comment 3, NTA. I think your comment about your mom's boyfriend is right, and maybe because you said it, it can give your mom an opportunity to reconsider if this is what she wants. However, if your mom only wants this guy for the short term, then she doesn't need to worry. But if she wants him for the long term, she really needs to reconsider if this guy can make her happy in the long term. Now, for the update. So, for anyone who read and commented on my original post, thank you for helping me realize I was not wrong for telling my mom her BF was a red flag. So, on to the update. The past week has been rough for my mom. She broke up with him around 2 days after I made the original post, then got back with him after he apologized to her. Everything went back to their usual when they got back together, but it didn't last. Apparently, when I was at my dad's house for the week, they broke up again. I'm hoping it's for good, though I do feel that my mom does blame me for their breakup, because she's been making some rude comments. I honestly don't care, but I know she's taking it out on me because I'm the one who made her see the truth about her BF. Comment 1. Your 45-year-old mother is taking her relationship issues out on you. I'm so sorry, but that pisses me off beyond belief. You literally pointed out how much of a scumbag her guy was, and she should be thanking you. I hope your mom gets a better handle on what constitutes a quality relationship and partner. I'm glad you were there to fill her in otherwise, though. Good job, OP. Comment 2. I don't understand why divorced parents try to date again. chooses the worst one and then blames their children. Get better at picking them. It isn't your fault she chose a scumbag. You pointed out the red flags. If you didn't, things really could have been worse for both of you. Comment 3. If she didn't want you to tell her what you really thought about him, she shouldn't have asked. Your mom needs to grow up and stop acting like a pathetic excuse for a parent. It's not your fault she has terrible taste in men. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.